Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Sacred Saturdays, a weekly video series where I come in and talk about self-care tips that I use myself. Now, we have not had a Sacred Saturdays in a really long time. I'd been on a hiatus, trying to do my own thing, trying to figure out if this was even something I wanted to continue. But because a massive amount of you have been sliding into my DMs, saying how much you missed it, asking for more self-care tips, I decided that it was my duty as an influencer and as a leader to reinstate it so I can come and give you guys the guidance that you desire. So, I wanted to come back in and talk about something that is absolutely huge, something that's super necessary, and something that I have been up-leveling for myself since I have turned 30, which was my birthday last week. So, we are talking about boundaries. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar, because I was not familiar with the term a long ago, I remember walking into my therapist's office and I was struggling with codependency, and she was asking me if I had ever heard the term boundaries, and I had to say that I hadn't. I had no idea what this thing was, if it was putting up walls. I thought that was bad. I didn't know how to deal with boundaries. So what I'm going to define them to you is I'm going to use one of my favorite metaphors. So essentially, boundaries are like a concentric circle garden where you're this delicate rose bush in the middle, and then there are different levels of how far you let somebody in. Now, this little rose garden right here, in order to flourish, needs a certain amount of nutrients, and those are things that you give yourself. No one's allowed in so far as that. But there are certain people that you will let in a little farther. If you have a good relationship with your family, maybe they get up to be almost like the surrounding gate of the roses. Strangers, they're like the weeds in the front yard, we're not letting them in quite yet. We have to figure out who they are. And boundaries essentially are these levels of the ability to allow people in. Everyone has different boundaries, but what I'm gonna go through with you are 5 top tips to make sure that you keep your energy level up with boundaries. Now, boundaries are also not meant for other people. They're meant to preserve you and your vibe and everything that makes you you and everything that makes you feel good. They are an honor system to yourself. They are a responsibility to yourself, and it's very empowering to uphold them. It's respectful to yourself to uphold them. So what I'm about to go through with you are 5 very generic boundaries. Like I said, in terms of this concentric circle garden, everyone's gonna have different boundaries. Like, you wouldn't let a stranger talk to you the way your boyfriend does, right? But these are 5 very simple boundaries that I'm gonna talk you through really quickly. Okay, so the first one is huge, and one that I have struggled with because I have been unpacking my people-pleasing nature. The first boundary is say no when you mean no. Now, this can be as simple as being invited out to a party that you don't want to go to, and you don't want to disappoint your friends, so you'll go anyways, even though you know that you have anxiety or things to do in the morning, or really whatever, maybe you just don't want to go. Saying no when you mean no is very empowering because you get to show people what you're available for, and that is super rad. You're not available for everything, and people thinking that you're available for everything isn't doing anyone any good. So, say no when you mean no. The second, your non-negotiables come first. A lot of you might not even be aware of what your non-negotiables are yet. That's why through this journey called life, we start picking up evidence of what makes us feel great, what makes us not feel great, and through that, we sift through and we find what our non-negotiables are. For me, mine are extremely simple. I have to meditate and do yoga in the morning in order to feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It hurts nobody. It's not a burden. It's just something that I need to do and that makes me feel empowered in the morning to start my day that way. That's one of my non-negotiables. Another is that I don't like to have heavy discussions through text because my good side does not shine when there's any type of misinterpretation. So these are just clear examples of like what your non-negotiables could be. Everyone's are different. Some people are more tolerant of certain things than others. There's no right or wrong way to have a non-negotiable. The only thing is that you need to honor it as something that has to be prioritized. Okay, number 3, notice your energy and honor it. Now, this can be kind of hard for somebody that's a little far away from their intuition, hasn't done a lot of energy work, and it's, a lot easier for people that are more sensitive like empaths, but it is possible for everybody. If you're in a situation where you start to feel anxious, or you're feeling sick to your stomach for some reason, or you just get like a bad vibe, you can remove yourself. You have my permission, you have the universe's permission to remove yourself, because you're noticing that you're not operating at your highest level, and therefore the scenario, the surrounding things, they're just not good for you, and that's okay. Number 4, if red flags appear, trust them. This is another one that I struggled with because I love to give people the benefit of the doubt. I think everyone is a sweet baby angel on the inside, and while that may be true, that doesn't mean that I have to be around for them to figure out the rest of their process. Okay, if there are things that make you really uncomfortable, for example, you're around a new friend that gossips all the time, and that's something that you've had experience with, and you know that they're going to be gossiping about you, just remove yourself. Notice the red flags, honor them, trust them, make sure that you're doing right by you. If you're dating a guy and all he's doing is bashing his ex-girlfriend, red flag, remove yourself. You don't have to be around everybody, and you don't have to be around anyone. You just don't want to. Whatever your red flags are, whatever the generic universal red flags are, if you're noticing them, trust them. And finally, number 5, hold people accountable for the way that they treat you. If you, in any instance, feel mistreated, and I'm going to take a step back, because when I say mistreated, that's not universal, okay? Something might hurt someone's feelings more than another's, but if you feel personally mistreated, there is a way to bring up to others that you feel as though you shouldn't be talked to that way or treated that way or whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be this huge blowout, and you don't have to be like, fuck you, I never want to talk to you again, you can't talk to me like that. If it's something as simple as a remark that maybe the other person thinks is fine on the daily and it's not fine for you, you can hold people accountable for the way that they've spoken. Because guess what? You get to teach people how to treat you. And by that guideline, they then know and are aware, if they choose to stick around, exactly how to work with you in the best and healthiest way possible. All right, so that was my 5 quick tips for setting boundaries. I'm so glad that we're doing Sacred Saturdays again. I feel really great about it. I hope you do too. Leave me a comment if you like it, any suggestions that you might have for future segments, and I'll see you guys next time.